All right. Welcome all. Thank you for joining us for our career conversation today. I am your moderator. My name is Reese Perez, and I am our CTE and high school curriculum coordinator. With us today, I have Teresa Wheadon, who is a CPA. Welcome, Teresa. Thanks for joining us today. First, I'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and don't leave out any of the fun facts.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so fun and accounting doesn't always go together, so I'm going to do my best to keep you entertained. But a little bit about myself. Like I said, what I am most proud of is I'm a wife and a mother for 36 years, and we have two grown children, so fairly happy about that. Our kids are probably just a little bit older than you guys are. They are 21 and 23, so not long ago we were going through the high school ages with you all. At the end of the day, that's what's going to matter most to me. Accounting, keeping everything in perspective. Accounting provides for my family. I'm good at it. I do enjoy it. I think it is a good profession, so I'm happy to talk to you about it. Um, so I have trouble with what are the fun facts about me? And I am first generation American. So if you know Mary, you know this about her too. Family is very important to me. So I am one of seven. My husband is one of six. And so my two children have 33 first cousins.
Oh
And
my
on their
goodness.
second cousins this week, I think we just tripped over to number 40. So
Oh my
if you ask
goodness.
me for all their names and their birth dates, I'm going to have to pull some things up to remember all the 40 second cousins, but I usually can get the birth dates on the 33 first cousins. So.
Oh my goodness sakes. I'm sure at this point you need a spreadsheet for that, don't you?
Uh, hopefully, I don't have a spreadsheet of them, but it's all really good. So,
Goodness, if they keep going,
um,
you're gonna need one.
I think you're right. I think the number will continue to grow as far as that second ground. So I'm curious how high it will get. So um, it was a really good learning lesson for my child as she had some mean classmates, and if anyone has any of those. It was one of these, she was saying, well, I have, 33 cousins. And someone said, it's not possible for you to have that many cousins. And I looked at her, I'm like, pull out the sheet, write down their names. Just because somebody says something mean to you doesn't mean it's true. And you don't have to own it and you don't have to believe it in it and take that as a learning lesson. So it's been a really good positive for us in that environment. But as far as about me as an accountant, I graduated way back when in 1990, and I've been at this for 34 years. And throughout my career, I have challenged myself and done some things that are pretty unusual from accounting perspective. So there is a company called May Department Stores. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, for those of you that don't know me. So back in all the way in the Midwest. And May Department Stores had a national footprint. I started in the accounting department as staff accountant, senior accountant, manager of accounting, and I wanted to do something new. And had an interest in learning tax, and I had no experience in the tax. I had it in the general accounting side. Opportunity came up, and why this is important is that without any subject matter expertise, I was able to move into the position of manager of state and local income tax, responsible for four people who prepared income tax returns, and I had absolutely zero subject matter expertise. Um, so I took what I knew in accounting and I grew on it, and I learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, to stay curious, to ask questions, and to really build my skill set by being open to opportunities that weren't necessarily traditional in those sense. So continuing along those lines, if you're familiar with a company called Macy's, Macy's was owned by Federated and they bought out May Department Stores. And I found myself working for a company called Brown Shoe. And if you're familiar with the store Famous Footwear, Brown Shoe, now Caleres owns Famous Footwear. So if you're familiar with any of those stores, they moved their accounting operations from Madison, Wisconsin to St. Louis, and they had 23 new people in 25 positions, and I was manager of accounting for that role. So a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. So I went around, not everybody was responsible to me, but everybody had their hand in to the financials that I owned. And I had to make sure that there was integrity and I had to make sure they were accurate. So I would go up to different people and say, why? Why is a really important question to help me learn. And I didn't know necessarily their role, but I just listened to make sure that they understood the why of what you're doing. It's not just, I know that I have to call Jane on the 5th day of the month and get this number from her. Jane's not going to be there. Why are you calling somebody and what department are you calling and what is the purpose of doing that? And making sure that they understood the background of what they're doing. So not just doing something because you're told to do it, but making sure you understand that background. So really, that critical thinking. So I didn't want anybody just rotely doing the work that they were doing. So again, a lot of throughout my career, I have learned to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It presents great opportunities to learn and to grow, to ask questions, and really to say yes to good opportunities. So
Love
that's a little bit about me.
I love that. And actually, it's very similar to what teachers do in a sense, because we like to provide the why for students too. Like, hey, why are you doing this? There's a reason for it. And here's why. So I
Mhm.
love that. Next question. How would you describe what you do?
So that is a very good question. So about 6 weeks ago, I accepted a new role. So what do I do in my new role? I'm really starting to learn what that means. So today I'm doing two jobs, my current job and my prior job while I'm trying to backfill that position. But my new role is really in strategy, that it is as far as our financial performance is concerned, working with our executive team so that they have that strategic leadership so that they understand the impact of what they are doing and how that is going to, can we afford that? What is going to be the impact, not only this year, but 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I'm a business partner with the different areas around the credit union so that they understand that the decisions they make and what they are, what's that going to impact going to have on our bottom line financial results. So I want them to be experts in their field, with like the IT folks. I don't want them to be experts in accounting. I want you to be experts in IT, and I don't understand what their invoices say a lot of the times. I'm like, I might need them to translate it into me as like, what exactly did we buy here? Um, but okay, that means when you say that, this is what it's going to mean for us, and make sure that they understand that. So everybody has a role to play. The best teams are going to be made up of people with different skill sets. So let them be their experts, and then I'll help them understand what the financial aspect is. So then there's also, I have a team around me, a great team around me. So leading that team, and whenever you're leading a team, you're not just focused about the things that you need to do today, but you also have to be worried about what you're going to be doing tomorrow and next year. So making sure that they're being developed for future opportunities, that we're ready for technology in the future. And it's really having a foot in today, but really a foot in tomorrow as well.
I love that. Very cool. Um, how would you, how did you get started in your career? And what were the requirements, education, skills?
So I actually took my first accounting course when I was in high school, and I can remember taking it and everything clicked and I loved it right away. So for me, um, with that struggle of being in high school going, what am I going to do with my life? It was really well timed, um, and it really made sense to me right away. I loved math. I knew I wanted to do something like that. But I liked math, I didn't like science. So this worked out better for me in that case. There was a lot of order to it. There was a lot of logic to it. There's always ways to solve issues. generating solutions, thinking outside the box is a one way to think about it is just because we've always solved it by doing A, what if we did B? So I enjoy puzzles. So trying to look for it like that. Sometimes I see the puzzle as a Rubik's Cube, that it's not only do you have to get the rows in the right color, but you also need to get the columns in the right order and making sure that you can see it from different perspectives and looking at it like that. So with that high school class, I went on to receive my bachelor's of science in business administration. The emphasis was accounting. I did pursue my CPA, and I earned it way back when you just needed your bachelor's degree. Today, it has a different requirement. You now need 150 credit hours in order to be, as I rate it, licensed to be a CPA. I think you can still sit for the exam without it, but you wouldn't be able to get your license. It's pretty steep to be able to do that, but I will tell you that it is a differentiator on your resume. If you're able to say that you have that, it is going to make you stand out and above. So because of these higher requirements, fewer people are going into the accounting field. So there's an opportunity there that for people to stand out because there's a great need for that.
Awesome. Very cool. I actually love puzzles myself. But what I hear you saying is that those who tend to have a skill set in mathematics or with just loving numbers or loving how to solve things
Mhm.
related to numbers and puzzles and math, those are the skill sets you're looking for in the accounting.
Right. Very analytical about a lot of that.
Love that. Okay, question 4. What is your work environment like? Do you work from home or at an office? Do you work alone or with others?
So our office is hybrid. And so my team comes into the office one day a week. So we like to have that social contact with them. Have the ability to work from home fully remote, but we do like that social, that collaborative. There's nothing that can replace that face-to-face contact. So we do enjoy getting together and seeing them at least once a week. Um, I come in generally 4 days a week. And again, I could work remotely and do my job. But if my team is coming in on Tuesday and I come in on Monday, then I'm going to miss them. And the whole purpose of seeing them and is not going to work out so much. So I'm pretty close to home. It's only about 15-minute drive without construction. But so it's not a big lift for me to just say, hey, let me go in there. But I've built better relationships face to face, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. Do you have to work face to face in order to build relationships? Absolutely not. The wave of the future says that's not going to be the case. But you still need to collaborate and you need to figure out how you're going to do that and how you want to do that. So whether it's Teams messages, if it's being on camera, if it's setting up time to connect with somebody, just like, hey, haven't touched base, what's going on? Um, Building those relationships and collaboration is still critical. So does that mean face to face in the office 5 days a week? No, but there's a lot of ways to accomplish that. Again, looking for solutions where there weren't some.
Love that. I love that you guys actually get one social day in the office to hang out and connect.
It's still
Um,
work, but
right. Yeah, but you do it in a more social setting. I love that as well. 'Cause
Mhm.
one of the connotations I tend to have with accounting is that it could be kind of lonely, right? But having a designated day where you're coming to the office, you're collaborating, you're hanging out with people who you work with, that makes it probably much more manageable, right?
We also like to eat. So if there's food days, if there's lunch, there's everything. We do enjoy eating.
Love that. Can you tell us about what sorts of career opportunities there are in accounting?
There are a ton of opportunities. So like I said earlier, that fewer and fewer people are going into the accounting field, and that is to get a full degree or even to pursue the CPA. There's a lot of accounting clerical positions that aren't going to require a degree, and that's an opportunity as well. But accounting is unique in that every industry, every company is going to need somebody who's going to need to know, understand, and run their financials. So in many ways, it's recession proof. Like if sales are down, companies might be cutting back on their sales force, but accounting is compliance and you're still going to need to do it. So there is always opportunities in accounting. What I have seen change over my career is the automation. And so what took people, maybe a team of 25 might be done by a team of 5. So there's still going to be accountants needed, maybe not as many. And that skill set is going to veer more towards analytical and analysis more so than keying numbers in on a page.
Okay, love that. Yeah, I heard you say job security. That like sent ding ding ding, like warning bells for me. Like, oh my goodness, you guys, like if you're looking for job security, this is definitely an avenue to pursue.
Right. Right.
Is there anything students should know ahead of time before entering this career?
I think before entering accounting or before entering any field, I'm going to say that you get out of blank what you put into it, and you can fill in the blank for whatever it is that's important to you. So you get out of life what you're going to put into it. You get out of baseball what you're going to put into it. You get out of your career what you're going to put into it. So if you don't put into a lot of effort, you can be the steady Eddie. You can clock in and clock out. You can have a good job. You can have a good career, get paid well, but you may not have a lot of advancement. But if you take a task and you make it better, if you leave a project better than how you found it, more opportunities are going to come to your way. The intellectual curiosity is invaluable. So think of things like if you've heard of GPS, that didn't exist long ago, and it was used for, I think the military was using it, and then people are like, hey, you know what? People might like to have this in their cars. You know what I mean? So just that creative thinking of how you can take it, that intellectual curiosity is going to lead you on places you'll never know. And the field is going to change the more that things are automated. So um, I can't say enough for just being that open to opportunities, and that not necessarily doing just everything that you've always done in the past, but being open to different, who knows what might come down the road. When I think back on my career, we started with something that you probably have never heard of, and it was green bar sheets. And you would literally have to take this number and write in all of the accounts and sum them up. And then if you put it wrong, if you didn't fat fingered a number in the calculator, then you weren't balancing and you had to try to find it. So how you wrote, your penmanship was really valuable back then. So this was long before Excel. So that's the automation that I'm talking about. Now that you have Excel, and now they're looking into what is a data warehouse and how can we automate it so that it's just going to, nobody's going to key anything in. It's just going to populate on somebody's desktop. And when they walk in the morning, they'll see some numbers. So it's like, what is next? So being open to wherever the field is going to take you. I'm going to go back to you. You're going to get out of your career. You're going to get out of life, whatever you put into it. And the more that you're willing to invest and ask those questions and do some hard work, it's going to pay off for you.
Love that. Wow. I mean, you've seen this industry change a lot then. I mean, if you knew sheets before it was digitized sheets, I mean, that's wild. So you've seen a lot
I've
of
got the
industry
gray hair
change.
to prove it. So
I believe it. What qualities does a person need to possess to go into accounting?
um, so I think critical thinking is one. When I look at my team, that is one thing that I am looking for, is not to be just tell me, I'll do whatever you tell me to do is one thing, but tell me what needs to be done and what's the objective, and okay, I can think about it. I mean, that critical thinking, that intellectual curiosity to can kind of almost read between the lines, is a valuable skill. Having drive and ambition, pride in your work is another thing that I really like to see in people that are new in the field that are on my team. Obviously aptitude with numbers, but it's not just your straightforward math, but it's the relationship of numbers. If your sales are going up by 10%, then what are your costs? And, maybe it's reasonable they go up by 10%, but why did they go up by 20? You know what I mean? Stop and ask the questions, and holding people accountable to to those increases and those changes, and making sure they understand that it's like, oh, well, when you signed that contract, did you understand this is what you just did for the company? It's like, you okay with that? No, maybe I'm not. You know what I mean? So it's um eh, having that understanding of the impact. Communication, that's a lot of it, but communication is so many different things. It's verbal, obviously, but there's the nonverbal, the interpersonal, there's written. It used to be memos, now it's emails, it's just a text message. It's how can you communicate the emotion in it if it's all just text. So um, somebody might read something and get totally ticked off, and you're like, what the heck? I wasn't meaning that. So that interpersonal, when it's changing, is so critical, but that's going to go back to building the relationship. So if they understand your intent, maybe they won't get upset, but maybe they'll pick up on it. So those are a lot of the things. In any field, you're going to need the communication, but accounting is more of that critical thinking and aptitude.
Mhm. How much does patience play a role?
As a leader, a great deal. I think it does. If I if I became impatient and just did the job for my team, they're not going to learn anything. So really having to uh, sit back and let them do it and let them learn. When I come new on a team, I've been with Together Credit Union. It'll be 4 years in July. And I was like, so why did you do it? Like, help me understand, what was your thought process? Um, and had you considered A, and what did you consider B? And as I was going through this, I was like, have you figured out that I know the answer and I'm just trying to help you get through there? You know what I mean? So it's patience is a big driver on that. But if I want them to learn for the next time, I have to absorb that patience and make sure that I'm teaching them and I'm not just telling them and doing it like that.
Good. Okay. What do you enjoy about your job and what are the hardest parts?
So I am an accounting geek and I fully own that. I am I enjoy the people. I enjoy solving problems, finding the solutions. I enjoy making things better. Um, I enjoy it when my team gets excited about making things better. So that's really cool. So that's what I enjoy the most. Um, it sounds geeky, but I do enjoy that. I think the hardest part, as I think about that, sometimes it's the people too. So I say people is the best part and people can be the hardest part because sometimes I don't understand what motivates people and I just have to like, oh boy, why would you do that? And really trying to be cautious with how I word it and stuff like that. Um, But I'm sure everybody has an example, and I don't have to go through it. The other thing in today's environment, and I've seen this more so, um, in the second half of my career, I would say, is resource constraints. That everybody is expected to do more with less, and how do you continue to solve that? How do you motivate a team when that is going on? How do you make sure they know or they know you appreciate them? So it's a constant struggle. It's not unique to accounting. It's not unique to the credit union industry. It's just the way of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. We see it in education too. Absolutely.
Mhm.
What is a common misconception about what you do?
I think the common misconception is, well, at least when I was started, is like, oh, it's a bean counter. And I don't even know what a bean counter is truly,
Bean
but
counter?
it's just that's an old phrase, but it's just that all you do is you just count, you just sum things up. And I will tell you that my children are now grown, but when they were like 6, 7, 8 years old, it was like, well, mom, what do you do? And I was working for a shoe company at the time. And so it's like, I just told them I count shoes. And so every night at dinner, I'd come home and they're like, okay, mom, how many shoes did you count today? And I just come up with some number, 1,357,000 shoes. They're like, wow. Like, okay. At that age, that's what they wanted to know, and that was fine with them. So I think the misconception is that it's all math. It's really more analytical. It's that more analysis. It's like, how can we be making more, or, why are we making less, and how can we be a business partner? How can I help people uh, see the impact to the bottom line? You would think it would be pretty simple that you signed a really expensive contract, it's going to have a cost impact. It's like, oh, and you know that 8% increase every year? Oh, so I mean, they're really going to charge me 8% more? Yeah, they really are. So let's make sure that we understand how can we negotiate that? Can we do anything else? What are, you know, I think it's business partner is more of the misconception, is that that's what we are more doing than bean counting.
I love that analogy. That's really funny. But that's actually really great perspective as well. Okay. What advice do you have for young people looking to get into accounting?
I think my advice would be to be curious, um, to stick with it. There are going to be some tough courses in college. So think long term. Don't get frustrated if it's hard in the short term. Make sure you know what your long term goals are, and go for that. Um, Work hard, show your capabilities. Um, and I something just popped up. Sorry, I moved a meeting and I moved it to the wrong time. Sorry.
Oh,
Um, I'll apologize to that person. But work hard, show your capabilities. Rewards don't always come on the next paycheck. Sometimes it'll come a little bit later, but make sure you do the good work now.
great advice. Okay. All right, before we go to the audience question and answer, I'm going to stop recording.